Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on optimizing PeopleSoft for enhanced performance and functionality, expert strategies and best practices, or said a little bit more simply, enhancing ROI with proven PeopleSoft optimization techniques. We're excited to be with you today for part 2 of our webinar, but before we jump in, I want to quickly introduce Astute Business Solutions. My name is Joe Finlinson. I am the Chief Technology Officer here at Astute Business Solutions. I am joined today by Astute's CEO and co-founder, Arvind Rajan. Astute Business Solutions has been in business for 17 years. We've done more PeopleSoft to Oracle Cloud infrastructure migrations than any other partner in North America. We've completed over 150 on-premises projects, and we have a really solid team who lives and breathes PeopleSoft every day of their lives. You can see here a little bit about our experience. We are a certified Oracle partner. We're really proud that we are an audited cloud service provider, audited by Oracle. So it's not just us saying that we know how to work with PeopleSoft, but Oracle has audits us actually annually and agrees. So with that, we'll jump right into our agenda for the day. Today, we're going to talk about optimizing PeopleSoft, whereas yesterday we talked about modernizing PeopleSoft. And there are subtle differences between the two, and we'll suss that out here today. We're going to talk about understanding PeopleSoft optimization. We're going to talk about how to fine-tune your PeopleSoft applications. We're going to talk about improving data accuracy and accessibility, how to ensure compliance and security, and then finally, how to enhance your return on investment with proven PeopleSoft optimization techniques. And while we're here, before we get going any deeper, I just want to again invite you to feel free to comment in the Zoom webinar chat or ask questions using the Zoom webinar Q&A module. Arvind is here and he will diligently answer questions, or if I happen to see it, I may stop and answer questions as well. There is nothing going on here that we can't stop to answer questions for, so feel free to ask away if you would like. We're going to jump in here and talk about understanding PeopleSoft optimization. And a question you could ask is, well, why do I need to optimize PeopleSoft? If I just modernize PeopleSoft, that should be good enough, right? I think the essence of this is that you really want to figure out how to maximize your efficiency, your performance, and your user satisfaction. And we can really do that here in 5 relatively simple steps. An optimized PeopleSoft application runs smoothly and efficiently and improves user productivity, reducing wait times for processing requests. So it makes sense that you would want to enhance your performance. An improved user experience delivers faster system response times and a streamlined user interface. It also provides more accurate data, and all of this helps your users have a better experience with your system. One of the things we talked about in our last session was that there is sometimes a dissatisfaction that executives have with PeopleSoft, and we discovered that the reason they often have those dissatisfactions is that the system hasn't been modernized. And on top of that, it also hasn't been optimized. So keeping user experience at the top of the list of things that you're trying to deliver is pretty important. With optimized applications, you can reduce your expenditure on additional hardware resources. Efficient systems require less computational power, and that helps you reduce your operating costs in the long run. A well-optimized system has increased longevity. And you can think about this as a system that doesn't have as many issues, crashes, or system failures. This extends the life of your system and delays costs associated with system replacement or upgrade. And finally, optimizing PeopleSoft gives you a competitive advantage. It doesn't matter what sector of the economy you are in, you have competition, and your PeopleSoft data is really a critical part of that. An optimized PeopleSoft system can provide actionable insights more quickly and support efficient business processes. And this gives you a competitive advantage by enabling faster decision-making and increased agility in the face of changing business conditions. So I think the take-home message here is that while PeopleSoft applications are robust and powerful, you can only maximize your benefit when they've been optimized to meet your specific needs. So similar to why optimize, we can talk about the benefits that you would attain by optimizing your PeopleSoft system. And you can think about this as unlocking its full potential. People talk a lot about maximizing results, maximizing returns. So here are some thoughts. Efficiency boost. Optimized application processes, optimized applications process your tasks faster, and it enables your work to be done in less time, which increases your team's productivity. We talked on the last slide about enhanced user satisfaction and how important that is. When applications run smoothly without any lags or crashes, it makes the overall user experience and satisfaction better, which increases your user engagement and retention. An optimized system reduces cost. By efficiently using your system resources, your optimized application can lower costs related to system maintenance and infrastructure because you're able to spend more time delivering value than troubleshooting issues. Scalability. Optimized applications are more likely to handle increased loads and adapt to change in a more flexible manner. Data integrity. A well-optimized application ensures accurate and consistent data, improving the quality of business intelligence and supporting effective decision-making processes. And finally, greater ROI. At the end of the day, it's all about the return on investment. An optimized PeopleSoft application leads to a better return on investment because it unlocks the full potential of the software that you've purchased and the hardware resources you have in place, which yields tangible business benefits. So the goal of your optimization isn't just about speed, but about also creating a PeopleSoft environment that is responsive, resilient, and capable of delivering value at every level of your organization. So when we think about the benefits and why, the next thing is really, what are those key considerations that we should be thinking about as we endeavor to optimize our PeopleSoft applications? And the first is that of trying to understand your baseline. Excuse me. Before optimization, it's critical to have a clear understanding of your system's current performance. Regular system audits and performance monitoring can help identify the areas that need improvement. That's pretty logical. The second one, reduce your user requirements. You need to understand how your users are using the system, what their needs are, what their expectations are, what their usage patterns are. And you need to understand what it takes to provide a good user experience for everyone involved. System data integrity is also a really important optimization. You need to ensure that when you do optimize, that you're not compromising the integrity of your system or of your data. It's important to have solid backups, and it's really important that you've communicated well what you're going to change and that you've evaluated the impact assessment of those changes. We talked a little bit before about scalability, and you really want to think about what types of load and what types of processes your system needs to be able to handle concurrently. Security, we spoke about that a little bit yesterday, but we'll mention it a little bit more here today. That while optimizing for performance, it's really important that you not overlook the security of your PeopleSoft applications. Changes need to be evaluated by the security team for potential risks. And then, of course, any changes that you make should be tested and validated. So the take-home message here is that PeopleSoft optimization is not a one-time task, but a continuous process, and it requires ongoing monitoring and fine-tuning to ensure optimal performance and satisfaction for your users. So at a high level, we've talked a little bit about what optimization is. We've talked about why it's important. We've talked about the benefits that can be attained through optimization. And we've talked about some key considerations you need to have kind of at the tip of your mind as you undertake a PeopleSoft optimization project. And next, we're going to talk more about the actual process of fine-tuning your PeopleSoft applications. So it may go without saying, or you may think that it's obvious, but the first thing you really need to do is identify performance bottlenecks. And in this particular case, we really are talking about technical bottlenecks. So this is really your very first step towards figuring out how to optimize your system. Before diving into an optimization project, it's really important that you identify any existing performance bottlenecks within your PeopleSoft applications. These bottlenecks or points of congestion really can have a profound impact on the way that your data flows through your system and can hinder overall performance. So it's really critical that you monitor for this regularly, and you use tools that help you identify where poor performance exists in your PeopleSoft applications. I think a lot of organizations have been running PeopleSoft for a long time, and for whatever reason, maybe they're using some very simple monitoring tools, or maybe they don't even have any monitoring tools deployed at all today. And one of the things that we at Astute would strongly recommend is that you think about monitoring as a first-class citizen in your PeopleSoft stack. So whether you're using the PeopleSoft Performance Monitor, or you're using the Oracle Management Cloud if you're deployed on OCI, or you're using Nagios, or any number of other tools that you could use, it's really important that you are monitoring your PeopleSoft system so that you know what's going on at the database, and you know what's going on at the middle tier, and you know what's going on at the application, and you can actually physically see the problems when you use tools like this. And this is a place where Astute Business Solutions could help you. So if you haven't implemented monitoring and you're interested in doing that, that's something that we certainly could engage with you to help you deploy monitoring on your system and help you identify bottlenecks that you're experiencing. A second area of identifying bottlenecks is just to go to your users. I know that can sometimes be a little bit frightening, but your users know where the system has issues because they're in it every day. They can provide really valuable and unique insights and perspectives on how your system is working. And so it's worth talking to them because they're in it every day, and they'll be able to tell you where there are issues. So if you lack a formal monitoring system, you could always ask your users, and most users aren't shy. They'll tell you what they're feeling. Once you've either got the feedback from your users and you've got information from your telemetry monitoring system, then it's useful where things are less than efficient to look at system logs. And, system logs can contain a lot of information. A lot of people turn logging down because their systems are not built in such a way to facilitate a decent level of logging, which is another challenge in and of itself. But suffice it to say, if you're having performance problems, at a minimum, you should look at the system logs and see if there are errors, because that can often be really low-hanging fruit to take care of. And then the gold standard for identifying performance bottlenecks is that of load testing. And there are a lot of load testing tools out there that can be used. Astute has a load testing service where we can come in and help you design what your batch environment should look like, and come in with either an open source or a paid load testing tool to simulate traffic. And you can bring up the load on your system and see how it performs. And then, you can use the other three areas: system monitoring, user feedback, and system logs, to help understand where those bottlenecks are. So it's a place where Astute would love to engage with you. If that would be of interest to you, feel free to drop us a note. Identification of performance bottlenecks is the first crucial step towards optimization, as it helps direct and prioritize your efforts, ensuring that changes that you make will have the most significant impact on improving your performance. So, strategies for improving your system configuration and database settings. You really want to make sure that you're optimizing for peak performance. But I don't think that the strategy that we should be taking here is that of throw more hardware at it and expect it to run better. We really need to be methodical about looking at the code that we're running. So if you have customized PeopleSoft in any way, there's time that you need to spend taking a deep look at those customizations and ensuring that they were written properly. If you're using delivered PeopleSoft, most of the delivered PeopleSoft tends to perform pretty well out of the box, but you may still need to do some tuning. So your tuning typically lies along four major axes: database tuning, checking your hardware configuration, ensuring that your network configuration is solid and that you're not seeing any network bottlenecks, and then application server settings. And this can be a bit of a rabbit hole because there's a lot that can be set. It's important to ensure that the settings on your various application, Jolt, web, load balancing, all of your servers, all of that stuff has very specific settings that need to be looked at. Caching can have effect on things. All of this can affect your system performance. Another major area where people run into performance issues is around design and user interfaces. And it's kind of sad to say that, looks have a lot to do with things, but it's true. When you look at the consumer internet and people are out there, on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever it may be, those sites have been very diligently designed, flexibly, to deliver a good user experience. And you got to give Oracle some credit in the most recent releases, especially coming up to PeopleTools 8.60. There's a lot that's been done to improve design and user interface, especially with the Redwood interface. But if you haven't adopted Fluid, if you haven't adopted Classic Plus, if you haven't stayed up on these sorts of things, your users are being left behind because they're expecting responsive and intuitive user interfaces. They're expecting navigation that is easy to easy to traverse. They're expecting that data is presented to them in a logical way so that it's easy to see and easy to click on and go in and see what there is to be done. So when it comes to optimizing your design and user interfaces, this is another place where Astute has offerings that can help. If you have not implemented Fluid yet across all of your applications, this is a place where we love to come in and help you work with your stakeholders, work with your sponsors to figure out how to get it implemented. Because once you do, it raises the awareness of what the system can do. People feel like it's a brand new system, and in many ways it is. It's responsive and it's optimized and it's easy to get information. So we'd love to help you with that particular optimization if it's something that you're still thinking about. The last one here on the slide is using native APIs. So rather than sending flat files around, PeopleSoft has spent a lot of time in recent years creating APIs for efficient data exchange and smooth integration with other systems. And what this does is it helps reduce data redundancy. It helps improve the effectiveness of your system because you're not constantly sending out or receiving large amounts of data. And it reduces the complexity of your interfaces when you're just using simple APIs to update something somewhere or get information about something else into PeopleSoft. So the thing to remember is that the goal of your optimization is not just about how the servers are running, but also about the processes and about what the users see and how they interact with it. You really have to look at this at all levels and especially think about it from the perspective of your stakeholders. So the next one we're going to look at is improving your data accuracy and accessibility. And this is an area where PeopleSoft has invested heavily in the last little bit, trying to ensure that you can get at your data. So the accuracy and accessibility of your data are really important. These form the bases for critical business decisions and strategic initiatives. And that's why it's really important that you develop and implement strategies that ensure data accuracy and improve your data accessibility. So how do you do that? Well, the first way is that you conduct regular data audits. These audits help you identify where your data may be inaccurate or inconsistent. And this is something that's seen often in highly customized PeopleSoft systems because the person writing the customization, perhaps they didn't use the component interface, which updates data in a whole bunch of different places. They just wrote something to a custom table and then things are not totally in sync. So it can be helpful to have a consultant come in and take a look at your PeopleSoft system and ensure that your data is consistent across the various tables. Sometimes it doesn't matter very much, but in other times it can matter quite a lot. You find that maybe batch processes don't work quite the way you think they should because some piece of data didn't get updated where it was supposed to. So performing a data audit can be very valuable to help you ensure that your data is proper. And it may also inform where you need to do better data checking against a list of rules or standards that your organization has set. The next one is to focus on integrations, specifically on data integration. So you want to avoid the creation of data silos where you're storing data in separate disconnected systems. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't integrate with other systems, but what we don't want to end up doing is, like, for example, in supply chain, you don't want to end up having to take your entire item catalog and sync that over to another place where that other place does a whole bunch of stuff that's dependent on the idea that that data is current and up to date, because then you have this dependency on PeopleSoft exporting this data out really regularly, and it can cause problems. So when you do that, you need to make sure that you have a solid interface or integration plan that ensures that your data will be integrous no matter where it goes. So obviously these things can be a little bit challenging, and there are lots of tools that are available on the market. They can be used to automatically clean, standardize, validate, and ensure that your data is accurate. There are some really great tools that come along with the Oracle database that can help with this. There are also third-party tools. If this is something that might be of interest to you, feel free to chat with us or send us an email after the webinar. Would love to talk to you about that. The next one has to do with making sure that the right people can access the right data at the right time. And I'm sure that everyone has, heard about this before and has spent time looking at that. But role-based access is important because it doesn't only improve your security, but ensures that the right data is there and that it can't be tampered by someone who shouldn't be able to play with it. One of the worst things we can do is give, maybe a developer access to the whole database in read-write mode. It happens from time to time, and it can just really cause lots of problems. So we want to make sure that we're giving people the right access at the right time for the right reason. We talked yesterday about training and how important that is. Since users play a significant role in your data creation, helping them understand the importance of their job in maintaining data accuracy can really pay off large dividends in the long run. So remember that maintaining your data accuracy and improving your accessibility to data is also a continuous process. So this isn't a point in time thing where you just walk in and do it once, but it's something that you need to do regularly. And when you do, you find that your data is more accurate and it is more accessible. And when it is accurate and accessible, that leads to your data being more actionable, which is a huge optimization for organizations. So we talked a little bit about some tools. We talked a little bit about the importance of auditing your data. And that leads us into the idea of maintaining your data. So we've talked about this before. Maintaining data quality is integral to the performance and usefulness of your PeopleSoft applications. So effective data validation and cleansing becomes a vital task in an optimal system. So when I was a PeopleSoft practitioner, one of the things that I constantly heard from my business users was, I just don't understand why the validation rules are so lax. They're talking about the validation rules in the PeopleSoft forms on the component interfaces. And I believe that the reason that this happens is that PeopleSoft was built to serve so many industries and so many different aspects or so many different configurations that putting in hard validations at the time would have really been quite daunting. The point here is, just because the PeopleSoft team didn't necessarily validate things doesn't mean you shouldn't. And there are a lot of tools that you can use in PeopleSoft to ensure that you do validate your data. You can use, post events. You can even make these validations so they don't show up as customizations. And this is a really great way to ensure that your data going into your system is clean. There are automated data cleansing tools. Again, Oracle has some. There are also some on the market. These tools can automatically detect and correct errors in your data. And it really is just nice to know, hey, Mr. User, you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. Are are you sure you don't want it to look like this? And then you can plug that right in. Data profiling is another really important practice. By regularly profiling your data, you can gain a clear understanding of its quality and its structure and of its consistency. And by doing that, it actually helps with your audits because anomalies or inconsistencies will show up more quickly, and then you can know when something may not be going the way that you would expect. I think data governance is another strong topic. A lot of organizations nowadays have a data governance officer. They're actually looking at how access to data is granted, what people are doing with it, even what systems or what data elements are the source of truth for various pieces of information across an industry. This is a really great area where you as a PeopleSoft system owner could really have a great, profound impact on your business. And then, of course, monitoring. So, you need to monitor your data. You need to monitor quality metrics. If you share that back with your users, they can see how things are going. And, things will get better over time. That which you measure improves. So, tips for improving your reporting and your analytics. So this is really, once you've gone through all this effort to optimize your data and get to the point where you can start trying to glean information from it, there are some things that you'll want to do. So you need to define your key metrics, your KPIs that are important to your organization. These help you focus your reporting and help you ensure that you're gathering the right information. From there, you want to make sure that you're visualizing the data correctly. And I think that one of the biggest changes in PeopleSoft in recent time is the use of the Elastic Stack, which is now moving to OpenSearch. This is huge because to be able to index your PeopleSoft data in real time and surface that on dashboards is, it is the holy grail of ERP reporting, to be able to see in real time how these KPIs are changing, what's going on with your business, and it helps you. You need these visualizations, so it's not just a line in a piece of paper, but you can put it up on a TV screen or make it so that when you cross a certain threshold, people get warnings. The visualization tools are a really big deal, and I'd highly suggest that you look at what's available in the Kibana/OpenSearch dashboards. We're going to have a webinar about it coming up here in a couple of weeks, and we'd love to see you there. We're going to show you how powerful the Kibana reporting tool is, and you'll see that when you've spent the effort to ensure that you have clean data, you can really get some fantastic results from it. Integration of data sources. This is often a bit of a controversial topic. People get really worried about data sovereignty, and rightly so. But you want to make sure that if you are in healthcare, that the appropriate case information or the appropriate KPI has access to the things that it needs in order to provide a holistic view. And the great thing about modern PeopleSoft is that with Elastic, you could create indexes that can be updated by other systems that brings data in and makes it really simple for you to be able to create some really robust reports and dashboards. And again, that's a place where Astute has services that can help. We have quick start packages that are really quite affordable, where you can get some really good work going, really awesome dashboards built in 10 business days or less. So of course, you need to make sure that your reports are sent out timely. If you're sending them out, if the dashboards are updated, the dashboards need to update in real time, or at least at some interval that makes it relevant and useful to the people that need the data. And of course, you should train. So you want your users to know how to use the tools and how to interpret the data that's being produced. An example I think of is, there was a company that had spent a whole ton of money on all this reporting. And at the end of the day, the management came back to the team that had implemented the reporting and said, this doesn't make any sense to us. It's not actionable. We don't know what we're looking at. So you don't do reporting just for reporting's sake. You do reporting so that, it's delivering on those key metrics that we talked about earlier. So the next area of optimizing your PeopleSoft environment is around compliance and security. And, I don't blame you if you're ready to fall asleep at this point, but this is one of those areas where you just can't fall. Security and compliance are critical when optimizing your PeopleSoft applications, as you're handling sensitive data, protecting it from unauthorized access, and adhering to regulatory standards is a big part of our job. Data security is at the forefront of these thoughts, these considerations. It's essential to use encryption and secure data transfer methods to protect your data. You also need to control the access to your data, where only authorized individuals have access to sensitive information. So you need to be aware of the regulatory standards that your organization has to comply with, whether that's GDPR, or HIPAA, or SOX, or FERPA, or there are lots and lots of different examples, but you need to ensure that your PeopleSoft applications are compliant with these standards. Not because you're afraid of incurring a penalty, but also so that you're maintaining the trust of your users and your stakeholders. So keeping your PeopleSoft applications up to date with the latest security patches is another thing that's pretty important. I know a lot of organizations say, oh, but patching people tools on a quarterly basis is just too hard because I have to deal with rebuilding the domains. Well, the thing that's scary is that every quarter there's some kind of vulnerability that is discovered in people tools, and you really should apply that critical patch update, that CPU, to people tools on a quarterly basis. And Astute has found that there are so many organizations that don't like doing that, that we can make a business out of patching for people. So we call it patching as a service. If that's something that might be interesting to you, we'd love to help you out with that. We can come in once a quarter, once the CPU is replaced, or once the CPU comes out, and we can apply those CPU patches to your PeopleSoft system, including people tools, and we can script out the rebuild of your domains so that it's not that big of a deal. And then you can rest at night knowing that your applications really are up to date. You need to have good auditing and logging. This is a pretty big deal. I'm sure your security folks are all over it. Whether that auditing and logging is in PeopleSoft or it's upstream from PeopleSoft, it should be there. That's another place where we'd love to help you if you struggle with that sort of thing. And finally, disaster recovery and business continuity planning. I think a lot of organizations have disaster recovery plans, but I don't think a lot of organizations have tested them. And that's really the trick. So having disaster recovery might check a box for an audit, but to really have comfort that you can fail over if you need to is something that you have to practice. Astute Business Solutions offers a disaster recovery as a service, where we will, you could be on premises or you could be in the cloud, but we'll basically set up a disaster recovery instance for you in the cloud. It's pretty cost effective because the middle tiers do not run all the time, and it provides you with an SLA and semi-annual testing, which really makes for a good solution, because then you can say, yeah, we have disaster recovery in place and we test it. So here's some best practices as it relates to PeopleSoft that can help you strengthen your defense. We already talked about the need to regularly patch, to apply updates and patches on a regular basis. Quarterly really is as far as you should let that go. We have a few customers that maybe say they only want to apply them every 6 months, but you really can't go any further than that. If your PeopleSoft system does not have multi-factor authentication as a part of the login process today, this is probably the number one thing you need to do. This is the first quote modernization and optimization project that you absolutely have to do. Phishing and spear phishing and whaling. This is like the number one way that threat actors get into organizations. And all they have to do is steal a username and a password and they're in, particularly if your system sits on the public internet. For that purpose, it's super important that your PeopleSoft applications are protected by a multi-factor authentication solution. And there are ways to do this, and we'd love to help you if you're one of those organizations that doesn't have MFA in place. Never fear, don't feel bad, but you should do something about it, and you should do it quickly. We talked about role-based access controls and how important those are. Clearly defined roles and access rights prevent unnecessary and inappropriate access to sensitive data. The principle of least privilege should be at the heart of your access control strategy, and users should have the least amount of privilege required to do their job. That's another place where Astute can help. We can come in and help audit your system, audit what's going on with your PeopleSoft applications, and show you where you may need to tighten up on your security. If you are customizing your PeopleSoft applications, your developers need to understand what secure coding is. That we could probably have a whole webinar on that one in and of itself, around how to defensively program so that your system is more secure. And lastly, a good security awareness training program. Most organizations have them today. They're pretty simple to buy, so you don't even have to create it yourself. But everyone really should be doing this, because responsibility for securing the system isn't just yours, it's the community's. You all together have to decide that you're out to ensure that the data that you have is protected. So the next one is about how you can basically strategies for maintaining your compliance. And we talked a little bit about this before, but we're going to talk about it in more depth now. And it's really about upholding the trust of your users and avoiding penalties. So it's crucial to familiarize yourself with the specific regulations and standards that you are obligated to comply with. Once you understand those requirements, you can then implement measures that ensure that you are compliant. It might be something as simple as using encryption or setting up MFA or implementing mitigating controls. This is an area where an auditor can help you. The auditor that audits your financials can't be the auditor that helps you get secure. So, bringing in a PeopleSoft partner like Astute would be a great opportunity here to help take a look at how you're meeting your regulatory compliance ahead of an audit. I would imagine that most of you have environments that are being regularly audited. If they're not, you really should be at least doing some sort of an internal audit process that that, not only takes a look at the financials, but, how are the processes that govern your system? Are you following the industry leading practices around separation of duties? Are you making sure that access is appropriately limited in the right places? Are you ensuring that you have safe coding going on? So these are all things that should be done. There are some really great software tools to help with compliance. They can automate and streamline the process, making it easier for you to maintain compliance and reduce the risk of human error. And I think that the really important thing to note here, and I said it before, is that it's not just about ticking boxes. It's about creating a system that is secure and reliable, that meets your security standards and your data protection needs, and delivers the appropriate service to your customers and your users when they need it. So the part that everyone's been excited to get to here, you waited 40 minutes for this, is enhancing your ROI with proven PeopleSoft optimization techniques. So here are some techniques to help you get a good return on investment when you optimize your PeopleSoft system. And I'm going to throw out some numbers here just so that you can have some thought around what each of these can do. So process streamlining, for example, automating routine human resource tasks like leave requests or change in position. Doing that in PeopleSoft can help you save time. It can reduce errors. And, you could save up to 20 to 30% of the labor by looking at how to streamline those types of processes. That's a pretty good return. You put that in and then you just freed up a third of a person or a third of a department. There's a lot that you can do there. Extending PeopleSoft functionality. There are safe ways to customize PeopleSoft now, and you should look at those when PeopleSoft doesn't quite meet your needs. If you can't change your processes to meet what has been delivered by PeopleSoft, you can customize. And organizations often find that there is a return on that customization of 10 to 20%. Migrating your PeopleSoft applications to the cloud is huge because it reduces your total cost of ownership. You no longer have hardware costs. Things are scalable. You only use what you need. Leveraging Oracle Cloud infrastructure really can provide significant cost savings for an organization. We've seen some organizations save up to 50% by deciding to go to the cloud, 50% of their infrastructure operating costs. Staying current with PeopleSoft updates can also help enhance your ROI. Each time you take on a new image or a new feature, you might be improving a single process by, 10 to 20%. This is again process streamlining, but it's process streamlining, and you didn't even really have to do anything other than update your PeopleSoft and inform people of the change. Finally, looking at good training, ensuring that people understand what they are required to do and when they're required to do it and how they're required to do it has huge return for an organization. Studies show that when you train someone on what you expect them to do, they can be 15 to 30% more effective because they've had that training. So it's kind of a big deal. Another way that you can improve your ROI is by looking at leveraging automation and analytics for your improved results. Automating routine tasks, as we kind of talked about with process streamlining, you could save up to 30%. AI powered assistance, this is a huge area with chatbots and all of that. There's a lot of delivered integration with the Oracle AI/ML engine right now on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We're seeing some customers, for example, with implementing a chatbot, might be able to reduce your daily ticket flow by 40% by helping people answer their own questions with an AI. Predictive analytics is a really big deal. It can help improve your workforce planning. We've seen some organizations reduce attrition by 10 to 20% by using predictive analytics. They can feed this stuff in and say, oh, well, people in this situation are more likely to leave. And so they can go in and intervene before it happens. And I think we all know how much it costs to onboard someone. So it's a pretty good trade-off. Data-driven optimization. So this is, using data analysis to figure out where you need to make changes. Data-driven performance tuning can, increase your system speed in some cases by up to 50%. And that's just because you took the time to look at it. That's huge. Finally, automating your report generation, make sure that it's consistent and that they're error-free and that your users are getting what they need in a timely way. We've seen organizations that have saved up to 20% just by automating report generation. It's silly stuff like this, but it has a huge impact. And anytime that you endeavor to optimize, it's really important that you measure, that you take the time to track what's going on so that you can do a show back or a make good on the money that you spent. So things to think about as you take on a PeopleSoft optimization project, how you want to report back. Is that user adoption rate? Is it something like a CSAT score? Are you trying to report on a process like we talked about with reporting? So, the resource was able to save 20% because they automated the report generation. Cost efficiency. So, we used to spend this much money doing this thing, and now we did this and we only spend this much. And that's a place where, the cloud could come in. You could say, we right-sized for the cloud, which meant that we were able to cut our database utilization back by 25% for most of the year, which had a huge savings return. And then, of course, just, comparison. This is what we spent before, and this is what we spent after. So in our webinar today, we've talked about how to improve your ROI through PeopleSoft optimization. We really talked about 5 key areas. What optimization is, how to fine-tune your PeopleSoft applications, how to improve your data accuracy, how to ensure compliance and security, and finally, what specific things can we do to improve ROI? So with that, and a few minutes left, I'll pause here and ask if anyone has any questions. And while we wait for people to put in any questions or make any comments, I will remind you we have a couple of upcoming webinars. They'll probably be way more entertaining than what I just presented, but we're doing a whole series of webinars through the rest of the year on PeopleSoft Test Framework. We're going to start talking about a PeopleSoft Update Manager regression testing. That'll be on June 7th. And then a couple of weeks later, we're going to talk about reporting with Kibana. And we talked a little bit about that earlier in the session. So I don't see any questions. Hopefully this was a good use of your time. We're so glad that you came out today. Thanks for supporting us. If there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know. You can find us at beastute.com, and you could send me an email, joe@beastute.com. I'd be happy to talk with you later. Thanks for coming, everyone. Take care.